Hi everybody, welcome back. I'm David and this is my wife Teresa. Today we're going to be taking you through a sequence for runners. So you're going to do this before you run or anytime during the day. This is going to get you ready to go and running balanced and even and your best pace. So stay tuned. Okay, so here's what we're going to start with today. If you're a runner or if you like to jog or you like to run, then this sequence is going to get your body ready to go from the first step. Because the thing about running is that you want to be balanced going into your activity, and not just runners, but tennis players, golfers, hikers, you name it. You want the body as balanced as possible going into the activity so that you get the most out of your body while you're doing it, and also it decreases your chance of injury, decreases your chance of pain and nagging chronic things that could come up and often do with runners, like plantar fasciitis and hamstring pulls and things like that. So the goal here is to avoid injury, balance your body, and get your body ready to go, as I said, right when you walk out the door. So first things first, we're going to do something called the windmill. So you're going to separate your legs just about fist width apart. Arms are going to come out to the sides, palms facing away from you, and spread your fingers out, drop your shoulders away from your ears, and make sure that your feet are pointing straight ahead. You want your big toes kind of pointing right ahead, right dead center. Drop your shoulders down, as I said, and if you have a wall, you can use a wall where you're standing heels, head, and arms against the wall. It's even better, but I'm going to do this sequence away from the wall in case you're doing this out in the open or in a field or wherever you are. So what you're going to do is you're going to bend to your left slowly as far as you go, and then back the other way to your right, and to your left, all the way over, and then to your right. And you're going to go back and forth.
How many times?
We're going to do this about 5 times. Okay, now back to center. Separate your legs a little wider.
Like just beyond my hips?
Yep, just outside hips. And here we go. Going to do the same thing. Back and forth. You want your palms facing away from you. Fingers spread. Shoulders back, don't let your knees bend. You're going to feel a stretch on your side as you go here, so you might feel a little lengthening on your side. Your arms are going to get a little tired. And what we're doing here is almost all runners are imbalanced right to left. They're often imbalanced front to back. And what I mean by that is one hip might be higher than the other, or one shoulder might be in front of the other. And what that does is that takes your muscles in your back and in your hips and that line your spine, and they are different. Separate your legs wider. Now, why does that matter? So wider legs now, all the way out, feet point straight ahead still, and same thing, you'll be able to go a little further this time, back and forth. So as I was saying about why it matters, about the imbalance, is that anywhere you're imbalanced, adds excess stress to certain areas. So if I have one shoulder that's not in line with the other shoulder, that means that one side of my body is under very different tension than the other side, which means some muscles are working harder than others. Those muscles get overstressed over time, and they're the first to break. Also, if you have imbalanced muscles and your joints are misaligned, then back to the center again. So same place you started, legs right underneath you again. Here we go, same place, last time, 5 each way. So as I was saying, if you have misalignment of your joints, then that means some parts of the joints are being stressed more than others as well. And that's a recipe for pain and injury on down the road. So again, we want to be balanced inside and out, yes, and especially physically going into running. Okay, great. Okay, now you're going to go on your hands and knees. So Teresa's going to go sideways to you. Now you know what cat and cow is in yoga. We're not going to do that. We're going to do something similar. You're going to start with your hands directly underneath your shoulders, your knees directly underneath your hips. You're going to walk your hands forward about a hand length, not too far. Good, and you're gonna move your shoulders forward over your hands so that your hips now are slightly ahead of your knees. You can see Teresa's at an angle now where her hip joint right here is sitting ahead of her knee joint. And her hands should be directly underneath your shoulders. So move your shoulders forward a little more, right there. Now you're gonna collapse your shoulder blades, let your back just drop, and let your head drop. Yes. Now this exercise is key because what it's doing is it's changing the position of your upper back. So the windmill followed by this exercise are both designed to rebalance your spinal muscles, change the position of your upper body, and start to address the imbalances that are common in most of us from right to left. And this exercise in particular is reconnecting all the muscles of your spine from head to toe. You want to really drop those shoulder blades together. Don't let your elbows bend, so straighten out those elbows, lock them out, drop your chin towards your chest, relax your stomach, and just breathe here. We're going to hold this for about 10 breaths. And it's going to get a little tiring on your arms. Yes, this is part of the warm-up. And it's part of just realigning your body. So arms straight, shoulder blades collapsed best you can. Let's go just a few more breaths here. She's doing really well. Again, your arms are going to get a little tired. Now, if this is bothering your lower back at all, just move your hips back over your knees again and hold the same position. So if this is bothering your lower back at all, just move your hips back until it takes the pressure off and still collapse your shoulder blades. Okay, now you're gonna lie down on your back. And as you lie down, you bend your knees, feet on the ground, arms straight out from your shoulders, palms down. You're gonna cross your right ankle over your left knee. And you're gonna drop your left knee and your right foot all the way to your left till they hit the ground. So right now, the outside of your entire left leg should be on the ground, the bottom of your right foot, arms out to your sides, palms down. You're gonna turn your head to your right, so away from the side you turned. And you're gonna gently use your leg muscles to push your right knee away from you. So Teresa is actually pushing her knee towards this wall over here.
I think important to note that my right foot is planted on the floor and braced against the top of my left thigh.
Yeah, good. So yeah, her foot is on the ground. You can relax your toes, and it's braced on the outside of that left knee, and she's pushing that right knee away. So keep breathing. Now you're going to feel a stretch on the outside of your right hip probably. You're going to feel maybe a stretch in your lower back. Sometimes you're going to feel a stretch on your side. Just breathe through it. As you inhale and you let your diaphragm expand, you'll feel everything start to release more and more. The diaphragmatic breathing is absolutely essential when balancing your body, but also restoring connection between the lower body and the upper body. Keep breathing. Of course, it's essential to getting oxygen to all your muscles and joints that need it as you're about to go for a nice run, or as you're just enjoying this sequence for just everyday life. Okay, now let's switch sides. You're going to pick that up. Both feet on the ground, knees bent. Cross the left ankle over the right knee this time. And she's going to drop it all the way down to her right. Till the outside of the right leg hits the ground, the outside of the right ankle is on the ground, the bottom of the left foot is touching the ground, and she's going to push her left knee, again, using her leg muscles, not her hands, away from her. Palms down, turn that head to the left, and spread your fingers out and breathe. This exercise is doing a lot of different things, and I'll explain about it a little bit. So when you cross the ankle over and you drop over into this position, what you're doing is you're feeling a stretch on the outside of one leg. Now, the stretch is important, but what it's doing is we're helping to balance out the tension in your left and right hip. So this is why we always do both sides. And you'll notice that one side probably feels a little tighter than the other side. That's the imbalance I'm talking about. Right? And you go into everything with that imbalance, and we want to curtail that as much as possible, because again, that means there's more stress on one side and more stress on some muscles and some joints than others. So keep breathing, keep pushing that knee away. And if there is a big difference between one side to the other, then just glad you're doing this, because that means you're going to solve this by doing this every day. Okay, go ahead and pick that up. Put your feet on the ground. Now you're going to go on your hands and knees, and we are going to do that cat and cow. So hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. And she's going to round her back up and then all the way down. Let the shoulder blades collapse. That's right. Back and forth. So you're going to use your hips as the fulcrum of motion. And so when you initiate the motion, use your hips to tuck under. And then as you come down, keep your elbows straight, but drop those shoulder blades down again. And that's important to connect your upper back with your mid and lower back. Okay, a lot of times in yoga, people will do this exercise and keep the shoulder blades apart. And we don't want that. We actually want those shoulder blades to glide, because that involves now the whole spine, not just part of it. And all the way down. Okay, now you're going to stand up. And just really quickly, I want you just to close your eyes and I want you to notice where your weight distribution is. It should feel pretty good right now, pretty equal. You should feel pretty good and pretty equal at the moment, but we're not even close to done. We got 2 more exercises. So what I want you to do is you're gonna get your feet side by side. You're going to step forward a half step or so with your right foot. You're gonna bend both knees. And I want you to take a look at your feet, because your feet should be slightly staggered. Not all the way off to the side, just slightly staggered like you're taking a regular step. Both feet should be pointing straight ahead. You're going to sink down a little bit and you're going to put a little arch in your back. Make sure your upper body stays straight. You're going to focus on keeping the weight equal in both feet the best you can. It doesn't have to be perfect. And now you're going to raise your right toes up and then push them down. Raise the right toes up, push them down. Toes up, down. Up and down. Again, keeping some weight in that front foot, a little bit of weight in that back foot. You're going to raise your toes up and then back down. Keep your upper body straight up and down.
And it's just the toes that are lifting and lowering. The ball of the foot stays pressing into the floor.
You got it. Up and down. You're going to do about 20 of these on the right side, and then we're going to switch. And we're going to do 20 on the left. I'm going to have you turn your both toes in just a little more. Yep. Now you'll notice that this is also a bit of a balance exercise. Yes, it is. So if you're feeling like your balance is a little wobbly, then hang in there. It's going to get better, but that's kind of part of the exercise. We're asking the muscles on the outside of your legs and outside of your hips and your ankles to start to stabilize and to work here. We're waking it all up. And we're also connecting your ankle, your knee, and your hip together as a unit again. The really technical explanation of this is we're recreating proper gait mechanics. Okay, switch sides.
I think I'll go to the side here. So
you got it.
Okay, so feet are about fist
Yep.
apart.
So feet are about fist width apart. Take about a half step forward with your left foot. Bend both knees. Now both heels should be on the ground. So your back heel should be on the ground. Your back has a little arch. Your upper body is straight up and down. Put a little bit of weight into both feet. And again, make sure those feet are pointing straight ahead. And you're going to raise those toes up and then push them down. Up and down. And again, about 20 of these. This is a great exercise in general, as I said, for balance, but it's also a great exercise to restore the function and the connection of your ankle, your knee, and your hip. Good, how are you doing?
Good, my right quad's burning a bit.
Yeah, so her thigh's burning a bit, and that's normal. That's a good sign that the leg muscles are doing their job. We're focusing on essentially a single stance work here, so we're making sure that the right and the left hips are doing their job. Couple more. Toes up, spread your toes up out as you can, as you lift them up and then push them down. Okay, now last exercise, we're going to do a downward dog, but we're going to do this a little differently than you're used to. So you're gonna go on your hands and knees again. I know, a lot of work here on your hands and knees. Tuck your toes under, so hips over your knees, hands underneath your shoulders. Tuck your toes under. Now as you pike up with your hips, I want you to bend your knees slightly. Yep, and then as you keep your knees bent, you're gonna pull your chest towards your knees. Lock out your elbows, spread out your fingers. And you want this position of your upper back. You want it as flat as you can get it. Your knees can be as bent as you need to attain this position, right? What you don't want, do it wrong for a second, is that rounding. If your upper back feels like it's really rounded and hunched, you don't want that. That's why the knees are bent, so you can avoid that and go the opposite direction. Now,
the back is rounded, you're kind of looking up at your belly button.
Yeah, so you want to flatten that out. And now, holding this position, you can keep this here and not change it at all for the next 20 seconds. Or if this is really easy for you, you can hold this position of your back and start to straighten out your knees. If you need to raise your toes way up off the ground, so your heels up off the ground, then you can do that to get those legs straight and then gradually drop those heels down. You're gonna feel a bit of a stretch in the back of those calves, and that would be normal. 5 more seconds, 3, 2, 1. Good job, come on up. Okay, so 2 ways to do that. One is knees bent with that upper back flat, and the other is knees straight with that upper back flat. But notice the common denominator is the upper back needs to be in that V position, and as flat as you can get it. So good work. Now check in again. Close your eyes, just check in, see where you're at. You should feel more upright, you should feel more balanced, you should feel pretty warm and pretty energized and ready to go. And that is your pre-run exercise routine. Thanks a lot for joining today, and please remember to subscribe.